In a political landscape characterized by shifting alliances and strategic maneuvering, the potential candidacy of Lowndes County District Attorney Scott Colom against incumbent Senator Cindy Hyde-Smith in the upcoming 2026 Mississippi Senate race has sparked considerable interest. Colom's announcement comes on the heels of his blocked nomination for a federal judgeship, a move that has only intensified his profile among state Democrats. Colom, who became the first black prosecutor in his district when elected in 2015, has recently expressed to state party officials, including Mississippi Democratic Party Chairman Chuck Taylor, his intentions to challenge Hyde-Smith. Notably, U.S. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer has also publicly encouraged Colom to enter the race, indicating a broader national interest in the Mississippi Senate seat. Colom is a very experienced attorney and district attorney, Taylor noted, highlighting the potential strengths Colom brings to the campaign. However, Colom's path to the nomination is not without hurdles. He will face competition from Ty Pinkins, a Democrat who previously ran against Republican Senator Roger Wicker in 2024. While both candidates share moderate Democratic values and emphasize public service, concerns about Colom's name recognition and fundraising abilities loom large. Political strategist Austin Barber pointed out the significant challenge for any candidate lacking statewide visibility. It makes it extremely difficult for someone who has virtually no statewide name ID to run against an incumbent U.S. Senator in Mississippi. Hyde-Smith, who has secured 2 terms in office, has established a strong foothold among Mississippi voters, aided by endorsements from prominent figures like former President Donald Trump. The recent political climate indicates that Trump's influence may still resonate in the state, which complicates the Democratic strategy. I think his popularity in Mississippi is going to be slower to diminish than it is in other states, Barber cautioned, suggesting that Hyde-Smith's established support could be a formidable barrier. Colom's history with Hyde-Smith may also resurface during the campaign. In 2022, Colom was nominated by President Biden to fill a federal judgeship, a nomination that Hyde-Smith effectively blocked by not submitting the necessary blue slip approval. Hyde-Smith expressed her objections based on Colom's connections to progressive groups and his stance on issues like women's sports. Colom, for his part, has disputed her claims, emphasizing his commitment to public service and legal integrity. The Mississippi Democratic Party is keenly aware of the shifting dynamics in southern states. Taylor indicated that national Democrats are increasingly focusing resources and support on these regions, with Mississippi being described as the new Georgia in terms of electoral potential. The party is hopeful that disillusioned conservative voters, particularly those dissatisfied with Trump's policies, may be swayed to support Democratic candidates. Trump's approval rating is taking an all-time low, said Johnson, a state party leader, suggesting that the climate may favor Colom if he can effectively campaign on the issues that resonate with voters. As the 2026 election cycle approaches, the Mississippi Senate race could serve as a bellwether for the Democratic Party's strategy in the South. With a revitalized focus on grassroots support and targeted funding, the path for candidates like Colom may become clearer. However, the challenges of name recognition and fundraising remain critical, as highlighted by party insiders. What we're still lacking are resources for upcoming races, Johnson noted, emphasizing the need for a solid financial foundation. In conclusion, as Colom weighs his potential candidacy and the landscape of the Mississippi Senate race begins to take shape, all eyes will be on Democratic strategies to engage voters and reshape the narrative in a state traditionally dominated by Republican incumbents. The coming months will be pivotal as both Colom and Pinkins seek to carve out their identities and appeal to a diverse electorate, while Hyde-Smith remains a formidable opponent with established support. The outcome of this race could have significant implications not only for Mississippi but for the broader national political climate as Democrats seek to reclaim ground in the South. In a notable shift in American political dynamics, recent findings from a Pew Research Center survey indicate a significant increase in trust among Republicans towards various information sources, including news outlets and social media. This surge in confidence appears to be linked to the return of Donald Trump to the White House and reflects a broader trend in partisan attitudes toward information dissemination. The data reveals that 53% of Republicans and Republican-leaning independents now express at least some trust in national news organizations, marking a 13 percentage point increase since September 2024, when only 40% reported similar sentiments. This change is particularly striking given the decline in trust that characterized the previous 8 years, culminating in a period of skepticism toward mainstream media among Republican voters. In addition to national outlets, trust in local news has risen to 75%, up from 66%, while confidence in social media platforms has increased to 45%, a rise of 8 points. This trend indicates a growing acceptance of information from platforms that were previously viewed with suspicion. Despite these gains, Republicans still lag behind Democrats when it comes to trust in national news organizations, where approximately 81% of Democrats affirm their confidence in such sources. Interestingly, the partisan divide is less pronounced when it comes to social media, with 45% of Republicans indicating trust compared to 38% of Democrats. Further analysis reveals ideological divides within the Republican Party itself. Among conservative Republicans, only 49% express trust in national news compared to 61% of moderate or liberal Republicans. This internal schism highlights the complexities of trust in media, as differing ideological backgrounds influence perceptions of information credibility. The survey also notes a slight uptick in trust across various age groups, particularly among older Americans, where trust in national news organizations jumped from 61% to 74% among those aged 65 and older. However, younger demographics, especially those aged 18 to 29, exhibit a more balanced view, with 54% trusting social media and 60% trusting national news. In a separate political landscape, GOP lawmakers are currently grappling with internal tensions as they face potential recession fears. Recent comments from political analysts suggest that the anxiety surrounding economic stability is causing unease among some Republican representatives, particularly those from swing districts. This apprehension comes as President Trump pushes for significant tax cuts and spending reductions, which could alienate certain voter bases, leading to a cautious approach among party members. The political landscape further complicates as the Virginia Beach GOP recently ousted Chairwoman Laura Hughes amid accusations of mismanagement, a move she claims is politically motivated and undermines the grassroots voters who elected her. This incident underscores the ongoing struggles within the party regarding leadership and control as factions vie for influence. Moreover, in a controversial move, the U.S. House of Representatives passed legislation to officially rename the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America, a measure heavily supported by Trump allies. Critics, however, deride the legislation as a frivolous distraction from pressing issues affecting the Gulf region and the nation at large. As the political climate continues to evolve, it remains to be seen how these developments will shape public perceptions and party dynamics. The interplay between trust in media, economic concerns, and internal party conflicts suggests a turbulent road ahead for the GOP as they navigate the complexities of governance and public opinion in the lead-up to the next election cycle. The repercussions of these shifts in trust and internal cohesion could have far-reaching implications for both party unity and the broader American political landscape. In the complex and often tumultuous landscape of U.S. politics, a series of significant developments have emerged, casting a spotlight on the interplay between environmental policy, legislative maneuvering, and the burgeoning cryptocurrency industry. As the nation grapples with these pressing issues, the implications for both the current administration and future governance are profound. On the environmental front, Senator Sheldon Whitehouse, Democrat, Rhode Island, and several of his Democratic colleagues raised alarms over a controversial Republican plan to overrule the Senate parliamentarians' decision regarding California's Clean Air Act waivers. These waivers permit the state to implement stricter air quality standards, a move that environmental advocates argue is crucial for public health. Whitehouse characterized the Republican strategy as a nuclear option, warning that such a precedent could undermine long-standing Senate procedures and lead to broader legislative chaos. Once you overrule the parliamentarian on a legislative matter, all bets are off, he cautioned. highlighting how future majorities might exploit this tactic to overturn decisions on a wide range of issues. The Government Accountability Office (GAO) recently determined that California's waivers are not classified as rules under the Congressional Review Act, a ruling that has been historically respected by both parties until now. Meanwhile, a proposed cryptocurrency regulation bill encountered a significant hurdle in the Senate, primarily due to intra-party divisions among Democrats. The legislation aimed to regulate stablecoins, a type of cryptocurrency linked to existing assets, but faced resistance amid concerns over President Trump's financial ties to the crypto industry. The bill, which required 60 votes to advance, ultimately fell short when Democrats decided to block it, fearing that passing it would inadvertently bolster Trump's influence and reputation. Senator Ruben Gallego, Democrat, Arizona, a proponent of the bill, lamented the rushed timetable for the vote, advocating for more time to consider the implications of the legislation. This setback underscores the challenges facing lawmakers as they navigate the murky waters of cryptocurrency regulation, especially in the context of ongoing allegations of corruption involving the former president. Adding to the complexity, U.S. technology executives have urged the government to enhance exports and infrastructure to maintain a competitive edge over China in the global tech landscape. With the rapid advancements in artificial intelligence and other critical technologies, industry leaders are emphasizing the need for strategic investments and improved policies to secure America's position as a leader in innovation. The call for action reflects a growing recognition that international competition is not merely a political issue but a matter of economic survival in an increasingly interconnected world. As these narratives unfold, the implications for the future of U.S. governance and policymaking are significant. The environmental debate highlights the fragile balance of power in the Senate and the potential for legislative overreach, while the cryptocurrency bill's collapse illustrates the complexities of bipartisan cooperation in an era marked by intense political polarization. Moreover, the push from tech executives signals an urgent need for a cohesive national strategy to address the challenges posed by global competitors. Looking ahead, the outcomes of these developments could shape not only the legislative agenda but also the broader political landscape as the nation prepares for upcoming elections. As stakeholders and constituents alike monitor these issues, the potential for shifts in voters' sentiment and legislative priorities remains a pivotal element of the current political discourse. The interplay of environmental policy, cryptocurrency regulation, and technological competitiveness will undoubtedly continue to evolve, demanding careful attention from both lawmakers and the public. In a controversial move that has sparked significant debate, the U.S. House of Representatives voted on May 8, 2025, to officially rename the Gulf of Mexico the Gulf of America. The legislation, primarily championed by Republican Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene of Georgia, passed narrowly with a vote of 211 to 206, reflecting a stark divide along party lines. All Democrats opposed the measure, while nearly all Republicans supported it save for one dissenting voice, Representative Don Bacon from Nebraska. The bill seeks to codify an executive order signed by former President Donald Trump on his first day in office, which mandated that federal agencies update their records to reflect the new name. Speaking on the House floor, Greene framed the initiative as a patriotic necessity, accusing Democrats of siding with Mexican cartels by opposing the name change. The American people deserve pride in their country, and they deserve pride in the waters that we own, she asserted, portraying the bill as a matter of national pride. However, critics of the legislation argue that it represents a significant waste of legislative time and resources. House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries, a Democrat from New York, questioned why Congress would prioritize renaming a body of water over pressing issues such as healthcare, the economy, and public safety. What Republicans have decided to spend this entire legislative day doing is to debate a bill to rename the Gulf of Mexico, he remarked. The implications of this name change extend beyond symbolic politics. Should the bill pass through the Senate, it would require federal agencies to revise documentation within 6 months to reflect the new name. However, The measure's future in the Senate remains uncertain as it is expected to face significant opposition and requires a coalition of bipartisan support to overcome procedural hurdles. Senate Majority Leader John Thune of South Dakota expressed uncertainty about the Senate's plans regarding the bill, stating, "We've got a lot of other stuff we've got directly in front of us at the moment." As the debate unfolds, it is important to note that even if the name change is codified into law, there is no obligation for other countries to adopt the new terminology. This raises questions about the efficacy and necessity of the legislation, with many arguing that it does not address the critical issues facing the Gulf Coast or the nation at large. Trump's administration has previously faced backlash for its attempts to control the narrative surrounding the Gulf's name. The Associated Press, for instance, found itself in a legal battle with the White House after being barred from covering events due to its refusal to exclusively use the term Gulf of America. A federal judge ultimately ruled in favor of the AP reinstating its access to White House events. The name change initiative is part of a broader pattern of Trump's administration seeking to redefine U.S. geographic nomenclature, with recent indications that he may also pursue renaming the Persian Gulf during an upcoming trip to the Middle East. Critics including Jamal Abi, president of the National Iranian-American Council, have condemned this potential move, arguing that it would erase an essential part of regional history. As the legislative process continues, it remains to be seen how this bill will evolve and whether it will successfully pass through the Senate. The outcome could serve as a bellwether for how the current Congress tackles issues of national identity, political symbolism, and the pressing challenges facing American citizens today. The debate surrounding the Gulf of America reflects deeper societal divisions and raises questions about the direction of U.S. policy under the ongoing influence of Trump's legacy. In a significant legal maneuver, the Trump administration has petitioned the U.S. Supreme Court to revoke the humanitarian parole status of approximately 500,000 individuals from 4 countries. This decision comes amid a broader context of immigration policy debates in the United States and has sparked concerns among advocates for immigrants' rights about the potential humanitarian implications. The request to the Supreme Court aims to terminate the humanitarian parole established during the COVID-19 pandemic, a measure that allowed individuals from countries experiencing crises, namely Haiti, Venezuela, Nicaragua, and Cuba, to enter the U.S. temporarily. The administration argues that the continued extension of this status is unwarranted and poses challenges to national security and legal immigration processes. A spokesperson from the administration stated, "The time has come for a clearer immigration policy that prioritizes legal pathways and the safety of our border." This stance echoes a long-standing objective of the Trump administration to tighten immigration controls and reduce the number of undocumented immigrants in the country. Opponents of the move, including immigration advocates and humanitarian organizations, argue that revoking the parole status could lead to dire consequences for those individuals, many of whom fled violence, political instability, and economic hardship in their home countries. A representative from the American Civil Liberties Union expressed concern, stating, "This action could leave countless families vulnerable and without protection at a critical time. It undermines the U.S. commitment to humanitarian assistance." The implications of this Supreme Court case extend beyond the individuals directly affected. Should the court side with the Trump administration, it could set a precedent for future immigration policies, potentially limiting the scope of humanitarian protections in favor of stricter enforcement measures. Legal experts suggest that such a decision would also ignite further partisan debates over immigration reform, already a contentious issue in American politics. In a separate but related development, the Washington Supreme Court recently upheld a state ban on high-capacity gun magazines, further highlighting the ongoing legal and societal discussions surrounding public safety and individual rights. This 7-2 ruling emphasized that high-capacity magazines are not considered arms in the context of self-defense, which aligns with a broader trend of gun control legislation being scrutinized across various states. As the Supreme Court prepares to review the administration's petition, the outcome remains uncertain. It could have lasting effects not only on the lives of those seeking refuge in the U.S. but also on the framework of immigration policy moving forward. Observers will be watching closely as this case could redefine the balance between national security interests and humanitarian obligations shaping the future landscape of immigration law in America.